tried to load it like that, but the attachment, the machine is fine, but the attachment is too tall. So now what they're doing is the only other way, and if that doesn't work, I have to go home. The only other way is to flip the machine. Sorry, I wasn't sure which way I'm looking. To flip the machine and put the boom, the attachment in the front towards the truck. So I don't know. They told us it was 144 inches, but yeah, it's 12 feet, but that's the machine, the cab, you know, like the boom is so massive, you know, like the whole thing. So I don't know. So it's chances are 50-50 that I'm going home empty, you know. And the machine is off my trailer for the second time, and it's in the shop now, so they'll try to remove the attachment. Yeah, and so yesterday, right, I booked this load, and this is right now I'm about 2 hours west of Cambridge, still in Canada, and this thing goes to agricultural AG trade show in Indiana. And you know, I was worrying about the dimensions. I asked the broker, as usual. The broker is, you know, doesn't care, and the guy says over here, when I came, the guy says she did send him a message and he answered her, but for some reason she never relayed his answers to me, you know. And then actually I talked to this guy on the phone. I said, I need at least 10 inches of ground clearance. And I misunderstood him because he said, yeah, we have 10 inches. You know, and I was thinking about this driving, you know, wearing sick about this, because, you know, it's like you drive for nothing 2 hours. And that was my big concern, is the raised center of the machine, of my trailer. You know, and then when I talked to him on the phone, he kind of like relieved my stress about the tracks, about the inside spacing between the tracks, because we figured out it was, so it's like the machine is, he said 142, and the tracks are 36 inches. And then so I figured it was like 70 inches, right? 72, 142 minus double the width of the track. And then when I come in the morning, I woke up at like I spent the night at a Flying J in London, and then I drove the last what is it, like 45 kilometers, you know, like 30 miles, 25 miles to here. Got up at 6, you know, I was like a good boy here, like way early. They open at 8. I was here like at 7:20. Put my sign on the truck, and they helped me flip the axle. I backed inside. They have a crane, so the crane just flipped down the axle. And that's what usually happens, you know. Usually when you pick up a load or you deliver a load, usually these people don't charge you any money, and they're okay with helping you with extra equipment, right? It's when, well, except like Keen likes to charge people money to set up. Do you need to set up? No, I don't need to set up. I'm okay, you know. But most of normal people, they don't charge you anyway. So they flipped the axle. I was able to hook it up, pins, connections, everything, right? Then I backed out, dropped the trailer, and the guy went in. You saw the guy went in with attachment towards the rear. It didn't work, right? It was sitting too high because, of course, the wheels are the wheels area is taller than the trailer area, right? And so the machine was, yeah, 13.6 to the cab, but because, you know, there's such a big drop between the sides of the trailer and the wheel area, right? So that boom had nowhere to go, you know. And so they drove it off, and those tracks are very rough on equipment, you know, because they were designed to work in a farm field. And so those spikes in there on tracks are like this size. And so he drove it on, drove it off, right? And then we flipped it, drove it on, drove off. And I tried to put some boards on there, but a couple of boards already broke. Like this thing is just, it bent a piece on the front ramp on the left. So anyway, so that's why you cannot do these loads cheap, you know, because especially situation like this, right? They told us 144 inches tall. And I was asking them afterwards, you know, when they took it off, I said, how did you guys measure? Like, how do you come up with the number 144 inches? That's 12 feet. I understand that, but somehow they don't mention the boom is that, you know, if the boom is on the ground, totally on the ground, then yeah, it's 144, but then you need like 40 feet of space, you know, you cannot do that. So you need to raise the boom, right? Because there's all kinds of obstacles. Like, so now they backed it on the trailer, right? Again, putting more scratches and damage, but what do you do? And so then they figured the only way to load this is to take what they call the shoe, like that, like knife or blade, and then there's this little shoe in the very front, which kind of like helps to cover the trench, you know. When this, basically what this thing does, it's a very specialized machine. I had no idea they existed or that farmers would do that, but turns out farmers put drainage pipes underground, you know. For some reason they want the ground to be dry, and so this thing has a spool in the back, and that's where they put that, they call it tile, which I thought tile, I said, what is tile? Like ceramic tile? The guy says, no, I have it right here, and he shows me. I say, hey, that's a hose. What's wrong with you, you know? But anyways, it's like a plastic hose, like this diameter, I don't know, like 3-4 inches, and it has hole. It's like a regular black plastic hose you see all over the place, but kind of like looks like this, you know, but like this material, you know, very cheap looking, but it has holes in the sides, so that allows moisture and water to come into the pipe, right? So this pipe can collect. And so this thing, what it does is it has so much power, right? So it just uses that knife or blade to open the ground, and then that hose or tile goes right into the ground from that spool. And then the way that blade is designed, you know, it just covers the ground, the dirt, right back up, you know. So he says most of the time you don't have to do anything, you know, like this thing just goes in the field, digs a hole, puts the tile or hose in, covers the hole, and you're done. And so basically I said, how deep can it go? He says, oh, it can go 5, 6, or even 7 feet. Basically like a tall human person's height, you know. And he says that's why when they do, like, you know, crops and stuff like that, like those tiny little backhoes, they never reach this deep down, you know. But it's amazing. I never knew that somebody would put these hoses in the ground. You know, like my understanding is that you would want the ground to be, you know, not to be dry, but he says sometimes there's an area where there's too much water, like a swamp, and that's what they do. So anyway, that's why this machine is so big and it has to be so heavy, right? And that's why it has such big, you know, tracks, has those huge spikes. But that's why we already took it off twice, you know. Now if it works, they're gonna take that shoe off, and then they're gonna put the big blade on the side of the trailer. Hopefully I'll be able to hook up, but this will keep the height down, because when it was in the back, when the boom was in the back, we measured like roughly, even without any air in the suspension, it was already 15 feet off the ground. And I said, guys, I already ordered my permits. And they look at me, you did? And of course now I'm thinking, see that, and that's exactly the reason why you never ever order permits without loading first. Yeah, you will lose time, yeah, but you're not gonna lose money, because like if they cannot load this, if I cannot be 13.6, I already ordered 2 permits. Okay, Michigan, it's stupid $50, right? But then there's a fee from a permit service company, another $20, 22, 25 bucks, right? And there's Indiana. I'm pretty sure Indiana will be expensive. maybe a couple $100. But anyways, like $300-400, you know, each time for sure. And then it's fuel this way, fuel back, but that's fine. But that's what I say. Like with a lot of loads like that I do, it's very hard to predict. Yeah, I saw the pictures. Like, you know, sometimes they blame truckers. Oh, you didn't do your due diligence. Now, what kind of due diligence am I supposed to do beyond, let's say, reading the specs, downloading brochures, watching videos on YouTube, checking out their website, checking out their Facebook page, where they have videos, right? Where they show the exact machine. There's pictures of this machine. And unfortunately, all pictures were taken from the side. I could not see how tall, like what the ground clearance is. Like, there's only so much research you can do, you know? I'm in Lansing, Flying J Lansing. And this is this ugly machine. Oh boy. Sits like this. See, that's what they had to do. Like, the only way to load this so that it's not oversized is to put it on the side. And the guy had to twist, play with the machine. And he showed me how to use it. He said in case there's nobody there. And I said, well, I really hope that somebody is there, you know? That's what I meant. You see these are huge. You know, these destroy pavement, concrete, and trailers. And I really don't like when, you know, they're so big. This thing, I could see the wood flying, splitting from my trailer. You see, the guy did manage to hit my my beam. I was telling him, you know, we put it on the thing over there. This thing is not moving. It was sitting like that from Canada, so we go over there. But yeah, now I just need to get out of Michigan. Yeah, it's a good thing that I noticed, because I forgot that I started driving so early, right? And then it took a lot of time to so yeah, I better go. And I thought I would go between these guys, but if I do, I'd have to rearrange the mirrors a little bit, you know. That's good. All I wanted was to check my chains. a cop behind me. All right, we're moving. Yeah, the good news is that I got my permits pretty much right after I loaded. And so I got my Indiana, I got my Michigan. All I gotta do now is just get out of Michigan before 9 o'clock or before I have time to drive, because the sunset is at 9 o'clock. 8 minutes after 9, so lots of time. So you know, I got 2 hours till sunset, but now I'm limited with my e-log because I started so early. Yeah, I didn't expect loading to take such a long time, you know, because if you remember, I was explaining how they did it 3 times, on off 3 times, and each time, you know, I was just looking how this thing was, you know, scratching my trailer. I was not happy, but what do you do? It's done. It's just that, yeah, next time, especially for something like this with a super big track, like with these big spikes, you need to charge people extra, because it's really causes damage to equipment, you know, to my equipment. 2 comments. Comment 1. My odometer in kilometers shows 19.7 thousand, and my first service is at 15,000 miles. Not oil change, but there's a bunch of other stuff that it's outlined in the truck manual. So you gotta do, you know, like change differential oil, stuff like that. So it's 15,000 miles, and because I keep it in kilometers, so 15,000 is 24. So you see, like, it's running pretty fast, you know. So in 5,000 kilometers or 3,000 miles, I'll be doing this service. Preventive maintenance. And comment number 2. I got really upset today about coach driver. I know, I'm oversized load, right? 1110. And when you cross the bridge, the Blue Water Bridge, usually you go into a special lane that says wide loads or buses only. And a couple of times I went straight to that lane, you know, bypassing other traffic, and CBP was not impressed, you know, like I think I was like 11 feet wide. Oh, you know that oversized. You should have gone into the regular lane. But now I'm 1110, 11 feet 10 inches wide, you know, that's pretty wide. And so I drive slow. You know, I waited on the bridge. It was a very long waiting time, so I didn't pass anybody. I was sitting, you know, just dragging my truck after the other guy, you know, over the bridge, slowly. It took like probably, I don't know, 20 minutes to get to the other side, but I stayed in the lane. Just was keeping a little bit away from the shoulder where there's the rail on the big bridge, right? But then when we finally came to the point where people split to go into different lanes, I broke away from the pack, so to speak, and I started driving slowly towards my lane number 1, which actually is always closed. There's a CBP, they park a vehicle in there because it's a special lane. It's only for oversized loads like mine and buses. And so I drive slowly, you know, like that lane is closed, no rush, no reason to rush. And then I see some kind of a movement in the mirror from with the corner of my eye. And I turn my head briefly, and it's a bus, you know, one of those tourist coach buses. This guy, like there was, I don't know, maybe 60 meters, you know, I don't know, like, what is that, 30, 60 feet between me and the stop sign where it says stop, do not proceed. This guy just swoops in right in front of me and goes in there, and that space, only one vehicle can stop there because, you know, the lane is blocked with this bus, right? So my sign says stop and proceed when the lane is clear. So I stop at the yellow line, at the white line, and I cannot believe this guy. And then all these people start coming out. Of course, the bus is full, and they go all inside, like kind of like this, you know. They go inside one door, they show their passports, and, you know, declare their intentions, and then come back into the bus. So it's like, it was like 20 minutes, you know, because of this bus. I felt like killing the guy. And I saw his face. It was some, I'm sorry to say, it was some guy from Asia, you know. Like, why are you in a rush, right? You go there, and then you sit there for half an hour till he checks your passengers. But because of this guy, I had to sit there with my load, right? And then this guy went through. Finally, all the passengers were aboard. But I cannot believe these, you know, like coach drivers. So next time, if I see some kind of a situation where I have to yield, maybe make life easier for a bus, unless it's a city bus. Like where I live, it's a law that if a city bus is pulling away from the curb, you have to let it go. You have to yield. They just introduced this law over there like 2 or 3 years ago, and now on the back of each bus it says like there's a nice, actually a nice smile, a picture of a nice smiling face of a transit worker, and he waves his hand, smiles, and there's a sign that says yield, and it says please yield. And, you know, most people are very respectable, but these guys, these you know, international long distance tourist buses are something else, you know. It really got me, you know, reeled up over there at the border, and there's nothing you can do. I wanted to go to talk to the guy, but you know, not to do, but I just wanted to go and look at his face, you know, see what kind of a guy does something like that, right?